And I would like to welcome everybody to the Carlynton School District Board meeting for the April 21st session. My name is John Cryer. I'm the superintendent, and I will be turning things over to our president, Mr. Jim Shriver, here momentarily, and he will begin with the opening of our board meeting. Mr. Shriver?
Thank you, Dr. Kreider. I appreciate that. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. First order of business tonight, I'll call to order the April 21st, 2020 meeting of the Carlynton School District Board of Directors. First order of business will be the pledge. Chris Jeswick, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance today?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Thank you, Chris. Will the secretary please call the roll?
All right, Director Frank.
Present.
Director Apple.
Here.
Director Honchar.
Here.
Director Russo.
Here.
Director O'Brien.
Here.
Director Mendoza.
Here.
Director Zaletsky.
You're muted, Kelly.
She is or she is not?
She's here.
Okay. Director Simsek
Here.
and Director Shriver.
Here. Thank you. There's a period of our meeting at the very beginning where we invite the public to comment on any items that are on our agenda for tonight. Josh or Dr. Kreider, do we have anyone posted to speak about our agenda?
Currently, there's no one in the attendees list that has waved their hand.
Okay.
So I think we're good to go.
We'll have an open forum at the end for others with comments or questions. I'll now move on to the next section of our meeting here. Let me apologize, I'll scroll down. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our April 7th, 2020 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved. This is Jude.
Thank you.
This is Leanne, second.
Motion and a second, thank you. All those or any questions first? If there are not any questions, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay? Then the motion carries. Thank you. Under reports, I'll report that we had an executive session last Tuesday, April 14th, where we discussed personnel matters and potential litigation. And we had an executive session prior to this meeting where we discussed student matters, potential litigation, personnel matters, contracts, and negotiations. I'll now turn to Dr. Kreider for administrative reports.
Thank you, Mr. Shriver. We have joining us tonight, we have our elementary principals and also our junior senior high school principal, Mr. Loughran, with us. I'm going to start with Mr. Loughran to have our principals give us a little bit of an update as far as where we are with our remote learning plans and just for them to provide the public with a little bit of some feedback in regard to how things are working. So Mr. Loughran, if you could give us a little update, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kreider. First, I want to say hello to everybody, and it's good to see everyone, even though it's virtually. I'd like to start by thanking Josh Jones and Angie Zanone, especially for the work that they've done in the distribution of the Chromebooks and helping us keep organized as we delivered the technology to the families in the district. It's really made our lives a little bit simpler. So thank you very much, Josh and Angie. And then on that, I really want to applaud the teachers' efforts to respond to the situation without question to meet our students' needs. I can say very proudly that every teacher in the junior senior high school has come up with a uniform way of delivering remote learning to our students, and that's through the Google Classrooms. In addition, we've had all hands on deck where we've had a number of people calling homes if there wasn't a lot of activity on some of the classrooms. Everybody's pitching in and calling homes and reaching out. So I applaud those efforts as well. Some of the exciting things that are coming up is May 27th. We will have our senior awards night. It will be virtually. The students are helping Mrs. Post, who is the senior class sponsor, create this, and there are a number of teachers that are pitching in. And also, student government for the juniors made a proposal to hold the elections for student government next year during this year and do it remotely. They just sent me a draft of that yesterday morning, so I'm looking forward to that. And finally, student news and successes. Jada Lee was named All-State Basketball Player of the Year, which is a huge accomplishment. So hats off to Jada and congratulations to her for all of her hard work. And that's about all I have from the high school level. I can tell you that I'm spending a lot of time throughout the day, Mrs. Gattuso and myself, reaching out to families and just offering support and guidance as to where they can get some issues solved if need be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Loughran. And if we move to Crafton Elementary School, Mrs. Burleson.
Hi, everybody. I am dittoing Mr. Loughran's statement. It's nice to see all of you, if not in person, at least your faces. And also I second that with Josh and Angie. They came up with an awesome plan and everybody worked together to get those Chromebooks delivered to the students. So, I'm sure that was crazy to try to get all of that done, but it is out there and the kids are doing a pretty decent job learning how to maneuver and navigate through all the, systems. I also applaud our teachers. They did not have a lot of time to, to gather and to plan, but I was so impressed by how much they jumped right in and came up with some really cool ideas. They're all using the same platform as well, Google Classroom, but they've made it their own. They're filming videos every day. They're coming up with crazy themes for their kids to motivate them. They're still doing even positive management through the Google Classroom, giving out their own incentives and coupons to get the kids to do their work or to be in attendance. So I cannot ask for a better team. And I'm sure it's everywhere, but definitely at Crafton, they've worked together, they pulled it together, and now it's just getting into that routine and moving forward from here. Our counselor and nurse work together as well to create a newsletter to help the community with some resources and just some other fun things, virtual field trips that went out through our PTA. We do lunch every day. And like I mentioned, the Chromebook distribution, both are going very smoothly. It's nice to see all the community members come out and even if it's just to get a Chromebook, it was nice to see people face to face, even under a mask. And then for every Friday, I do announcements. I send a video out to the families. I've gotten a lot of great feedback that just opens up my communication. So they'll email me, they'll send me a message just telling me how much they appreciate all the work the teachers have done, the fun videos that I have done. So I'm getting a lot of positive feedback, which is so appreciative in this stressful time for everybody and just trying to kind of figure out our way and our journey right now. It's nice to have that support from the community and the family. So I've gotten really nothing but positive feedback from the families. And then one other thing that's going to, create a buzz in our school is Mr. Priori and Mr. Peterson are working together to do a virtual talent show. So more information to come with that, but that should be a really fun project. And I mean, it's such a cool tradition to have over the years. We just didn't want to see that come to an end. So, I mean, they they came up with it, giving that music department that credit, and I'm looking forward to see how they put it together. But besides that, that's pretty much crafting right now.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Burleson. That sounds
Thanks.
exciting for sure. If we
Exactly.
move over to Carnegie with Mrs. Bachman.
Thank you. So again, I'll just mirror both Mike and Marcia, saying it is good to see everybody. Also want to give shout out to the Carnegie staff. They're doing a great job as well. And just watching, meeting and administrative meetings, I would put Carlynton School District's teachers up against any school district around. They're doing just a great job. Just to highlight some of the things that Marcia and Mike didn't highlight, PTA at Carnegie is really stepping up their game. They did a stay safe video when we first moved into our online learning. This week is actually a virtual spirit week at Carnegie. So yesterday we were challenged to dress up like our favorite superhero. Tomorrow, of course, is going to be a green and gold day. And then I believe Friday is decorate a window or a door. They're taking pictures, they're sending it into our PTA to hopefully do some type of video that can be linked to all of our Google Classrooms. ESL programming is going very well. That was probably my biggest concern coming into this online learning, but we've gotten through most of the bumps, and I'm very happy to say that even our ESL students are coming to distributions, getting their Chromebooks and working online very well. Last thing at the elementary is kindergarten registration. Myself, Mrs. Burleson, and Mrs. Gattuso put together some guidelines for kindergarten registration. That's on the website. So parents can either mail or email their registrations to Jennifer Alexa, or on Tuesdays, Marcia and I are at meal distributions to pick up and kind of guide parents through any questions they may have with the paperwork regarding kindergarten registration. So we still have that up and running so that we don't get backlog for next year. So that's pretty much my report. So thank you all.
Very good, Mrs. Burleson. Thank you very much, and thank you to our three principals working together. And I think one of the common themes that you recognize there is just that coming together from a wide spectrum of stakeholders, from our administrators, to our teachers, to our students, our parents, and to our board members, for all working together to making this remote learning and online environment productive for our students. And we're creating a lot of great opportunities for our students to explore some different types of activities that in the past they have not had the opportunity to do. And one side, it's exciting, and in another side, there's many students who are itching just to get back into the classroom and see their friends and see their teachers. And I think I can speak for all of our administrators and for all of our teachers. We miss our students. We miss the interaction that we have with them on a daily basis. We miss our teachers being in the schoolhouse as well. And we're hoping that someday we'll get back to that sense of normalcy. We do have several upcoming events. Mr. Loughran did speak a little bit towards the awards night and moving to an online venue, a virtual venue to hold the awards night. We are also looking at graduation, which is also coming up. Graduation is something that is extremely important for our seniors and for our families as well, as they move to a great phase of their life. And we are looking at two different types of platforms right now. The way that the governor has indicated that he will slowly start to open up restrictions across the state beginning on May the 8th. It does appear that those restrictions are going to be lifted very slowly. So we are unsure with where our future will be in regard to having a graduation ceremony. But we did listen to our students, and our students did want to have as normal and a traditional type of graduation ceremony. We would like to honor that. So we will be making plans for a date in July to hold a traditional graduation ceremony. That specific date and plans for that will be forthcoming. But at the same time, we want to put a fail-safe in place. We don't want to give any false hope that in the event that social gatherings of more than 100, 200, or 500 people are not permissible, we will also be running a virtual graduation ceremony, and we will have that aired then on June 5th, which was the graduation date that we had originally settled for. So we look to do both, so that if there are students who are looking to move on after June 5th, that they will have the official ceremony in place and that we can move forward with that. In regard to prom, prom is upcoming as well. We will not make a decision on that until later after we get some more information from Belisara as far as that host being available to us. We also, at last month's meeting, or earlier this month, we went through and approved the elimination of 6 positions. And the board then put on my agenda here to go through and work through a pathway to fulfill those elimination of positions. Our next step in regard to that is to post additional positions. We will make postings as we normally do in the month of May. Teachers will be given the opportunity for bid for those positions. Once the bid has taken place and people have settled into positions, then we will take a look at the number of furloughs that will be required as a result of that. We certainly do not look for, as we posted the 6 elimination of positions, we certainly will not be at the area where we will have 6 furloughs. It will be much less than that. However, that will be a pathway that we'll go through during the month of May. Also coming up in May, every year or every 10 years, the federal government goes through a census. We encourage all of our community members to participate in the census. The census is extremely important in regard to school district funding. Over $14 billion are handed out in Title I grants. Also, special education funding and school lunch programming is also based off of the census data. Head Start, teacher development are some other things that are forecasted into the census information. So we will, in our next correspondence, we'll be sharing with our community links for community members to click on to fill out their census as well. And we would like to remind all of our students and parents of our meal program. Our meal program has been extremely successful up to this point. We do ask or just share that we do have 3 different meal distribution points at Carnegie Elementary School, also at Crafton Elementary School, and then also we have the Borough building that is in Carnegie as well. And then we also take some food over to St. John Lutheran's Church. At Carnegie Elementary School, lunch and breakfast are delivered to students between 10 and 11 a.m. That's also the same time at the Borough building. And at Crafton Elementary between 11 and 12. And then at noon, we take some more meals over to St. John Lutheran's Church. So if you are looking for meals, 2 meals that are served at the same time, we do that as a service to all of our students who live in the boroughs. So that's my report that I have for this month. Turn it back over to Mr. Shriver. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kreider. At the last meeting, we skipped over our committee reports because we had a lot of other items on our agenda. So let's circle back and hit those for this meeting. I'll start out with Parkway West. Director Apple, any updates you want to share on Parkway West?
Well, I got a little one in last meeting, so we haven't had a meeting since then. But I would, for those folks who weren't around for the last meeting, I just repeat that the Parkway West administration and teachers were prepared with online learning for their students, and they continue to serve all the students. Obviously, it isn't, as ideal as it would be if they were able to come in and do hands-on stuff, but they're still, they're teaching the kids. So I have a meeting coming up here in a week or so, so I'll have more stuff next time. Thanks for asking, though.
Sure. Moving on to Pathfinder. Director Hanshar, do you have any updates for Pathfinder?
Yes, Jim. We had our Pathfinder meeting on April 15th. we got a report from Steve Niederberger on our, he's a CPA. He gave us an unequal opinion, which is a clean opinion, which is the highest opinion. So that's very good. The second thing, I did ask how our students are being taught. And Nick Fratto, our principal, told us that even though there are no student activities, the remote learning started on March the 30th. We've had parent feedback on what is and what is not working. We're using a Google site in Pathfinder. The homeroom teachers start out the day, every day, and they are the main point of connection. Also, Nick Fratto, the principal, has hired an intervention specialist because, of course, Pathfinder kids are different than the other kids in our school district in that they really need a lot of intervention. And this intervention specialist
George, we might have temporarily lost your audio there. Can you repeat that? It says my internet connection is unstable. Did you hear my report? Just until the last 5 seconds. If you just want to repeat the last 5 seconds, you should be good. What were the last 5 seconds? 5 seconds. Pathfinder's using an intervention specialist that checks in once a week with each parent and with each child, And they're using the Google site for the teaching, but things are going, progressing as Pathfinder as well as can be expected. Great, great. Thank you, George. Sure. Moving on to Shasta. Director Zaletsky, anything to update on Shasta?
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, actually, there isn't really anything going on with Shasta right now because of the stay at home. Our next event was to be on May 5th, so obviously that has been canceled at this time, so I have nothing to report.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Legislative and PSBA, Director Frank, anything you want to share on PSBA?
I do. Last meeting, Mr. Jeswick talked about a measure or discussions in the State House about freezing property taxes. So as good as that sounds to me as a homeowner, I thought it would be good to kind of talk through what that means to us as a school district. So over the last, really over the last few months, Mr. Jeswick and the administration has done a good job of getting our 2020 to 2021 projected budget to the point where we were projecting to be, less than $500,000 operating deficit. With the coronavirus, kind of the revenue impacts, and including, Dr. Kreider mentioned eliminating the measures we took last meeting to eliminate the 6 positions. So taking that into account, at this point, we're looking at probably, I think the administration is forecasting about a little over $1.3 million deficit. So we went from less than $500,000 to $1.3 million, basically due to coronavirus, and that's even with eliminating those positions. And so, with if that property tax measure were to go through, that would be at least another $500,000, somewhere between $500,000 and another $800,000, or between $500,000 and $800,000 of additional revenue we wouldn't see. And so that would, for 2020, 2021, that would be a well over $2 million deficit, operating deficit, which is pretty substantial on a $30 million budget. So I thought that would be good to point out. No decision has been made in the House so far, but it's not going away. So that's something I think everyone should look into, and then make your own decision on what the right measure should be. But I thought that would be good because as a homeowner, I like the idea of increasing my taxes. But when I think about the future of the district, and we're trying to get to a balanced budget within 5 years, that'll do a lot of harm to our 5-year plan. So that's all.
Agreed. Thank you, Jude. And I think every district is faced with that exact same dilemma. So I think you raised a great point. Thank you. On the foundation, Carlynton Foundation, Director Simsek, do you have any updates for everyone?
I really don't have anything to report. We were supposed to have Taste of Carlynton yesterday, which obviously was canceled. We have not been able to meet, and we don't have any meetings scheduled at this time.
Understood. Bigger priorities.
Right.
Understood. All right, Dr. Kreider, that's the extent of our committee report. So if you have nothing else, we'll move on.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the section 4 from our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve 4.1, the suspension of board policy 006, referencing the assembling in public for school board meetings due to the coronavirus pandemic. I have a motion for
Director
that.
Apple, so moved.
Thank you. Thank you, George. Thank you, Joe. Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you. Under section 5, finance, we have 4 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve number 1, the bills for the month of March 2020 in the amount of $398,889.50. Number 2, the treasurer's report for the month of February 2020 as submitted. Number 3, the treasurer's report for the month of March 2020 as submitted. And number 4, the 2020-2021 proposed administrative budget of the South Central Area Special Schools Jointure as presented. Do I have a motion for those 4 items?
This is
Jude,
Leanne,
so
so
moved.
moved.
Thank you.
This is Marisa, second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in quickly and give some kudos to our business manager who, with everything else, has been hustling to keep our treasurer's reports up to date. So as we get near the end of the year and we're having to deal with all this, our financial situation, to have a sense of where we're going to be ending the year with as current information as possible. We've got a March treasurer's report for ending March 31 here on the 21st, is it, of April? So Chris, within 3 weeks, getting it to us. Thank you very much. It's very helpful.
No problem. Thanks.
Great point, David. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. Motion carries. Under section 6, personnel, I'll entertain a motion to approve 2 items. Number 1, the secondary teacher Pamela Stone for the position of homebound instructor for an elementary student for 5 hours per week beginning March 2nd, 2020, for a duration of about 3 months at an hourly stipend of $40. And number 2, to approve the reassignment of responsibilities for Assistant Principal Rachel Gattuso to Interim Director of Special Education and Pupil Services at no additional compensation through June 9th, 2020. I have a motion for those 2 items.
I so move.
Thank you,
I
George.
second.
Thank you, Chris. Moved and second. Any conversation or discussion?
I'd like to commend Rich Gattuso for doing this for us. It's a pretty necessary position, and really appreciate you stepping up.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So much. I appreciate the opportunity, everybody.
Thank you, Rachel. Any other discussion or question? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Under section 7, old business. Does any director have any old business they would like to bring up? Hearing nothing. Under section 8, new business. Any director of any new business they'd like to discuss? Okay, if not, we'll move to open forum. Josh or Dr. Kreider, if there's anyone in the audience that would like to comment tonight?
I do not see anybody with their hand raised, but just as a reminder, if there are any of those joining us via the Zoom forum, if you hover your mouse down towards the bottom of your screen, you will see a raise hand icon. So if you do have a question or if you do have a comment, I do see we have one person who's ready to go there. Josh will get things set up and ready to go. Please just access the bottom of your screen there to ask a question. Thank you.
We do have one, as Dr. Kreider said, Matthew Kleko. I am going to allow you to talk. It does look, though, I'm not sure what version of Zoom you're using, but currently, whatever version that is not allowing me to allow you to speak at this time.
The only thing I could recommend to Matthew at this time would be at the very bottom of the screen, if you would hover over, there is also a Q&A icon at the very bottom. If you could just give us a brief question that, or possibly a few words that we could address here this evening, that would be helpful. If you are unable to speak to us tonight, I would ask that you simply just send us an email, and we would either email that response back or provide you the opportunity at our next board meeting to share your thoughts as well. So we'll give a few seconds for that Q&A to see if that comes through. And Mr. Jones, anybody else waiting to speak either?
I do not see anyone else at this time.
Is there any text coming through on the chat, Josh?
It did just come up. Dr. Kreider, are you able to see that? It hides behind my share window, and it would take down what's being shown if I bring it up.
Yes, I do. I see it here. And what I can do, Matthew, is I can read what you have, and I do appreciate your input here. And from what Matthew says, yes, I believe it is a major mistake to go through with staff cuts and furloughs. Our children should come first over any budget. So I'll read that. If there are any board members who would like to respond to that, they may.
John, is Matthew a resident of our district?
That I do not know. I would assume that he is. Matthew, if you could type in your response whether or not you are a resident, that would be greatly appreciated. And possibly if you are a parent also of a child in the school district.
John, I don't know if any board member wants to speak to his question, but if you want to briefly address it, feel free to.
I would just, this is David Russo, so I would just point out that, of course, the position eliminations were based on the declining enrollment that we've experienced here in the district.
Correct, and that's what I would have echoed also, is it was more of a realignment of positions as well that we had the opportunity to move forward towards with the elimination of positions through the declining enrollment that provide us the opportunity. Matthew did get back to us, and he did indicate that in these unprecedented times, homeless, hunger, child abuse, spousal and drug abuse are being witnessed at all-time highs with families being at home. And he does indicate that, yes, He does have 2 children in Carnegie Elementary, and he resides, gave his residence then of 612 Cornley Ave in Carnegie.
And I would just echo, John, what we mentioned last week, where all of the directors here either have had children go through the district or currently have children in the district. And we, I think, share Matthew's goal of having our kids all have a great outcome and a great experience. So while we might be adjusting the structure, the outcome and the goals haven't changed. And that might be difficult for someone to understand who isn't, who's not aware of all the restrictions that we have or the conditions that we're dealing with, but understand the comment. Thanks for the input.
Yeah, Jim, I'll add that I've got 5 kids, 2 at Crafton, a 3rd going to Crafton next year, and then 2 more in the pipeline. So I'll have kids in the school district for at least another 18 to 19 years. So I think I share Matthew's concerns. I try to take that into account when I make my decisions.
This is Marisa Mendoza. I just wanted to add, as a school psychologist, when we look at all these things, it's not just cuts for saving money. We're trying to be more efficient with what we have because these are priorities to us. Homelessness, hunger, child abuse, things going on in the home. When things are hard at home, we know all the more that the school setting, the people in the school setting are all that more important. And this is why one of the things that we were designing was bringing the school psychologists down to the elementary school level, 1 in each building, dedicated to that building to work with as a whole, all the mental health. I understand too, this is an unprecedented stressor that we're having on our kids to have this absence, not understanding why, returning in the fall, unsure whether it's going to start virtual or in person again. And so, I mean, this is why it's been a big push for me. And I've sent the board members other things that we're doing in my district of how we address things with mental health. It's not something I'm taking lightly. And I don't think I would vote for anything that would deprioritize the students in this way. My understanding with making more efficient and bringing all our resources to the optimum, bringing money where we need it to be, that's the way I understood why we're rearranging things in this way. And it's hard to see from the outside, and it's a lot of moving pieces right now, but I hope that's something that people out there understand is it is something that the board is holding dearly and really examining and asking and demanding that this is what our own children and students need.
Thank you, Director Mendoza. Great point. So Matthew, perhaps you can update your Zoom software for the next meeting so that you can have the opportunity to engage with us live. And I think just engaging with us over the long term with children in the district, you're like us, you want to see good things happen for your kids. So we hope you continue to engage with us and bring your ideas and your suggestions to the team.
And President Shriver, I'd just like to add the fact too, before even the state came in and said we were had to keep all staff and all paid, the district made a decision, as the board did, and Superintendent Kreider, to keep everybody employed so we could continue to provide services to all these children while we were down and out. So we made that decision, or, the board and Superintendent Kreider, that decision was made before the state came out and said you had to keep all people. And on top of that, our custodians have been going out, teachers have been volunteering, our cafeteria staff has been coming in, even though certain people aren't required to, coming in, packing lunches, going in the community, giving out lunches. Josh and Angie have been going out into the community to get everybody computers. So, these people are putting themselves, at risk too, to make sure these kids are serviced. And we do, and this is why we kept the staff to continue to service all these kids. So.
Good point. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Any other open forum questions, either externally or internally? Dr. Kreider?
It does look like we have somebody from the public that would like to talk, a Wendy Hart. Wendy, you have been unmuted and are permitted to speak at this time.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. I can see you all, but I guess you can't see me. So I'm lucky for you, but that's okay. So my question is, what is the plan for the kids and people to come in and get their stuff out of the school? Like, I know we have an instrument that we're paying rental for that's kind of stuck in the school, and just wondering when we can come get stuff out.
That's a very good question. Thank you, Wendy. We do, the plans that we have in place, it's more of a long-term plan right now in regard to the state put orders that are in place by the governor until May the 8th. We're looking at abiding by that stay put. For valuable items, I would ask that you reach out to the building principal to see if it is possible for any items of extreme value. I would say anything above a value of $75 to $100. Arrangements could possibly be made to bring some of those items out to the food distribution center, but those would be done on a case-by-case basis. But we do look to move forward beyond May 8th is to set up in all 3 of our buildings to put a strategic plan in place that will either go alphabetized or grade level system that is in place in order for individuals to come and pick up their items. We have a lot of items that are in lockers. We have a lot of items that are in homerooms in the elementaries. So you're right. There's a lot of things that we have in our buildings. And then likewise, we need to put a plan in place to collect back the district issued equipment that has been issued out over the course of the school year to our students. That includes books and textbooks, computers, and different types of things as well. So we will communicate that. In the interim, I would ask if you do have anything of large value that just to reach out to your building principal and see if they can assist you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Looks like we have a couple of more people. The next one would be Nicole McMurdo. And you are unmuted and you can speak at this time.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Dr. Crater, I just caution you to items over $70. You've now opened yourself to every single band parent contacting you. Because every single instrument in there is significantly over $70.
Yes, and that is something that we were aware of. But as Wendy has just indicated, there are some students who it is their own. They're paying rent on those.
Right.
They are items that are and also are valuable, especially in times when students are at home sitting idle. We value all of the arts. And I think being able to provide students with an opportunity to have an additional outlets is healthy for them as well. So we would like to work with parents and families and try to get students those types of equipments back. So we did think of that. We are approaching the May 8th timeframe where we will open up in latitude much more greatly, but we took that into consideration. But thank you for pointing that out.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have another person that would like to talk. It's going to be Mary Campbell, and you are unmuted at this time.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Hi, good evening. I teach second grade at Carnegie Elementary. I've been there for 11 years. I also live in the district. I just have a question. One of you stated earlier that the eliminated positions would not change goals or outcomes. How will you check that the outcomes stay the same? What will you be doing throughout next year to ensure that our students at Carnegie who are currently being served by the full-time guidance counselor will still be getting what they need next year with a part-time guidance counselor? What are your plans for checking on that and ensuring that this is happening the way that you hope that it's going to happen or plan that it's going to happen?
It's a very good question. And with that, our building principals will work very closely with our school counselor, who is shared between the two buildings, along with our two school psychologists, to work as a united team. So the measurement component will come actually from all four of those individuals, actually five of those individuals, in regard to the services that are provided to our students. We also look to be able to collect additional data now that we will have a counselor circulating through every classroom throughout that 6-day cycle, to collect that information and provide feedback from a supportive environment. So we think that there are opportunities for us to collect and gauge all of that data and use it as a useful tool in making decisions for students as we move forward to create safe environments for them.
Okay, thank you. Would you be willing to include teachers and parents in that discussion so that the data that you are giving is coming from multiple sources?
Absolutely, absolutely. And yes, that takes into consideration what the current mechanisms that we have in place through SAP meetings, through faculty meetings, a lot of different ways that building principals and also administrators go through and collect their data, parent meetings as well, that yes, that data will be assembled and an aggregate of all of that information will be taken together. So yes, and thank you.
Okay. I have another question, if that's allowed.
Yes.
Okay, my understanding from the Pennsylvania Department of Education website is that the decrease in enrollment has been just under 5% over the last 5 years. And also from the Pennsylvania Department of Education website, I see that the projected enrollment is set to increase. So is 5% a, quote, significant decrease in enrollment from the administrative viewpoint? Because from the teacher's viewpoint, it doesn't seem to be, as the original proposal resolution stated, significant.
Yes, from what we have seen in other situations in regard to declining enrollment in school districts, that 5% mark that you quoted would be satisfactory to reduce and eliminate positions based on those enrollment numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, currently there is no one else with a raised hand. However, I do see that the number in the Q&A has gone up. I'm not sure if that correlates to a question or not. If Dr. Kreider, if you could check that.
It does appear. I would try to see if we could get that guest with the phone number. It ends in an 80. Josh, to see if you could get that person's to be unmuted. I would believe they would want to speak. I think that's the person.
Okay. The person with the 3980 number, you have been unmuted and are permitted to talk at this time.
Okay, yes, this is Matthew Quaco. I already typed in the gist of what I wanted to say, but I'll actually speak it now. So I do believe we have many amazing teachers within this district. I just want to voice again to remove any positions over that 1% decrease year over year, 5% within 5 years is out of the question, especially an elementary school counselor. Again, during these unprecedented times, now kids and parents are spending more time together at home than ever on the longest layoff ever that they've ever had. They're witnessing homelessness, abuse, spousal abuse, drug abuse, more than ever before. And then we're going to have them go back into these schools with less advocates for them, less people to help them through these struggles that they need help through. And to be understaffed, this alone, again, it's going to have a huge impact on our mental health services that are being offered to our children. And also, again, phys ed, that's a way for kids to release energy, meet friends, discover talents they never even knew they had before. To limit gym class to once a week, limit counselors to rotating 6-day schedule. Again, I'm a Carnegie taxpayer. I'd like to continue to live and grow within Carnegie. I'm in the community. Just hearing the news of staff cuts, especially for these positions, doesn't make me very happy to be in this Carnegie district. We're not a poor district. My taxes are $2,400 a year. So I ask you, what costs are we cutting these positions? What's the benefit? How much money are we going to save, and where's that money going? And I believe it is your duty to put our children first and not the budget. There is no other option but to reconsider the proposed staff cuts and furloughs. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew, and I'm glad you were able to get through. I know it's hard to articulate your thoughts just through the typing through the question and answer section. The response that I would have to that is the plans that we do have in place to take our school psychologists who were not full-time at the elementary prior to this and move them to the elementaries on a full-time basis. So we will have a school psychologist located in each of our elementary buildings, which I believe was one thing that I shared at the last meeting as well, is that I think it would be very difficult to find another school district where they have full-time staffed school psychologists along with a school counselor in the elementary schools. So that's a model that we feel is going to increase the services. We also have the opportunity, and will continue to work with outside agencies to help our students through mental health types of issues. You bring up a very good point in regard to, at this time, where students are spending longer periods of time at home, going through some difficult challenges. We are also currently at the time, we're monitoring, making phone calls out to many of our students who we know are at risk and providing resources for them as well. We have opened up other communications currently that allow for face-to-face interactions with counselors as well to help mitigate some situations at home. And we'll look to continue those types of services moving into the next school year as well. Certainly mental health in regard to anxiety, stress, depression, a lot of those types of issues that can have a major impact on the development of our children are things that we do take into consideration. However, we do feel with the staffing model that we'll have in place next year, we will be able to address the needs of our students and in many areas be able to increase the services that we have with that face-to-face interaction in the classroom with our school counselor as well.
Okay. It looks at this time that we do not have anyone else that would like to speak. So I would turn it back over to the president.
Very good, Josh. Thank you. And Dr. Kreider, thank you for your comments. I think the whole board agrees with you and appreciate you articulating on our behalf. Thank you to everybody who commented or sent in messages. Thanks for everyone for attending. I guess I'll turn to the board. Any other open forum issues before we look to adjourn? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved. It's Marie.
Go ahead.
If you didn't know.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you for the May meeting.
Jim, I did not hear who seconded that.
I'll second it. I didn't, but I will. This is Jude.
Okay. All right. Thank you.